Yo, what's going on, guys? And today I wanted to talk about the New Orleans Pelicans are allegedly drawing trade interest, according to the Marc Stein of Stein line, that if there's one trade candidate to monitor on the New Orleans Pelicans, it's Javonte Green, who makes $2 million this year. And due to the first and second apron, allegedly multiple contending teams would have interest in acquiring him, as he would help offset some of their salary cap. And just to explain what do we mean by that, right here you'll see the first apron, and those teams are the Nuggets, the Lakers, the Heat, the Knicks, and the Sixers. Those teams that become hard capped at the first apron buy or can't use using more than the tax mid-level exception out of the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, using a biannual exception, acquiring players via sign and trade, signing a buyout player who made more than a non-taxpayer mid-level exception on a previous contract, using more than 100% in salary matching in a trade, and using a trade player exception that was created the year before. And the more punitive measures are in the second apron that you see now. And those second aprons are involved for the Boston Celtics, Milwaukee Bucks, Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Phoenix Suns. They can only re-sign their own players. They can only... Sorry, I got hit with a phone call. I had to answer. And yeah, we said they can only re-sign their free agents, sign draft picks, and sign minimum players. And if they do a trade, they can only get equal or less salary. Hence why these apron teams would be interested in Javonte Green. Now, I think that when you look at a guy like Javonte Green, he is somebody who would fit a bunch of teams. So we're just going to go through all the apron teams that would benefit to get a guy like this. So we really did the Denver Nuggets, the Miami Heat, the New York Knicks, the Milwaukee Bucks, Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Phoenix Suns. And we broke down the rationale for each side, as a guy like Javonte Green, who's a versatile forward, who's on just a $2 million deal, would allow a team to take advantage financially by moving a player that maybe makes more money that they don't want, and get a guy who's on a short-term deal, aka an expiring one, and can be an effective plug and play, as he's on currently for the Pelicans. 38 games so far, almost 22 minutes a night, 6 points, 46% from the field, 38% from three, 3.5 rebounds, and about a steal and a block a game, and career averages of 17 minutes a night, 5.5 points, 53% almost from the field, 35% from three rebounds, and like I said, a steal and a block a night. So a guy who's a real good hustler, energy player who can play multiple positions. So right there you have someone that really just fits what teams are looking for in the modern NBA. So real quickly, we'll go right here and we'll talk about each of these trades. I'm just going to run them through. So this is Denver Nuggets one. Vlatko Cancar, who is seemingly out for the season with that, or just still injured with that knee injury, and a second round pick. While same thing for the Miami Heat here, Josh Richardson, who's struggling with that heel injury, and a second round pick. Next one up is, I did the Knicks, gave them two options, both of them with Jericho Sims, either Jericho Sims for Javonte Green, throw in a second round pick, or Javonte Green and Karlo Matikovic for Jericho Sims and Precious Achiuwa. Now you see what the two trades do there, how much money they would save the Knicks, and why you see the latter one would even save them a significant amount of money. The Bucks right here, Marjon Beauchamp and a second round pick for Javonte Green if it was the Bucks, and then the Phoenix Suns, either Bol or Damian Lee, second round pick for Javonte Green. Whole thing is it's just a second round pick, but he's going to leave either way, Javonte Green, so why not capitalize off of that? We're going to start right here. The Vlatko Cancar deal would actually allow them to save a decent bit of money, okay? With $425,000 coming off of their bill, I think a team like the Nuggets would love a trade, because the Nuggets have shown a need for a robust offensive, defensive hustler who can improve their wing defense and transition offense and give them just some more athleticism, kind of be like what Bruce Brown did for them. And I think this is where Javonte Green could be the Costco version of Bruce Brown. Swapping Vlatko Čančar and a second round pick or multiple second round picks would just immediately enhance Denver's perimeter defense without disrupting their offensive flow. And this team currently ranks third in team rankings with a strong field goal percentage of 50%. And beyond the arc, they're 38%, while they lead the NBA with 31 assists a game. And for Denver, which already boasts a potent offense led by Nikola Jokic, I think Javonte Green would slot in as a rotational wing swingman forward who would provide rest periods for the starters without a drop in defensive intensity, or help the starters by bringing in some intensity and a motor that his athleticism will help contribute in fast breaks. And his decent 3-point percentage, 35 for his career, 38 this season, fits that Denver oriented style of play, perimeter oriented style of play that Michael Malone likes. And another thing that he's just also a guy who either finishes inside or finishes out. He just fits really well with how they would want to operate there. So for me, I just kind of sort of like it. And yeah, so let's move over to the next one, which I think is going to be the Miami Heat. This is if they find out Josh Richardson is just not going to be coming back, and this would save them $1 million in cap space. They move on from Josh Richardson, throw in a second round pick to get a guy who will fill the need that Josh left, while also giving a guy who can contribute in a position that they need some help, which again, the wing, the forward position, really when Jimmy Butler and Jaime Jaquez, Duncan Robinson, Kevin Love, all those guys come off the floor, maybe someone to help out Haywood Highsmith and the boys when the backups are in the game. And I think when you look at this, I think that's the thing with the Heat. They would benefit from Javonte Green's defensive abilities as a guy who's going to help shore up the perimeter, as a versatile defender that fits their style. Josh Richardson has been a guy who sadly has only, I think, played 8 games, and Green's just a low risk move that fits their defensive identity. The Heat right now are the 9th worst team in points per game, but have a solid defensive setup that's emphasizing slowing down the other team and making them play more at a deliberate pace. And their 3-point shooting accuracy stands at 36%, so he would help them, as Miami values strong, versatile defenders who can switch across the floor at multiple positions. And I think Green's ability to defend both the perimeter and inside would make him an immediate key rotational player for Eric Spoelstra, especially in the schemes involving zone defenses or pressing needs or pushing the pressure. He, again, probably shared minutes with Haywood Highsmith to relieve Duncan Robinson and Jimmy Butler and Jaime Jaquez, which would allow them to provide flexibility and reduce the load of Butler. So I think Miami's disciplined style under Eric Spoelstra and the focus on defense and the hustle and the motor that Green would give him, and the ability to guard multiple positions, would be something that the Miami Heat, I think, would really like. Now, the next team we're going to talk about is, of course, the big trade that I showed you guys at the beginning, and this was the New York Knicks, Jericho Sims, and a second round pick for Javonte Green. Or you could just go ahead and do Javonte Green and Karlo Matikovic. They give him a perimeter player and a backup center who's on a really cheap deal. And Jericho Sims as an expiring that could be a reclamation project. And Precious Achiuwa, also a guy that if they like, could be the Pelicans are this year's a wash for them. The big thing is the first deal works. The Knicks save $92,000 if they just swap Sims for Javonte Green. They have Ariel Hawkporty, and they have themselves Precious Achiuwa and Mitch Robinson hopefully coming back. But if Mitch isn't coming back and they want to also get a center and they want to save some money, and Precious, if they feel comfortable with Karlo and Javonte Green, I think those two deals, the Knicks want depth. They need defense. And first off, Javonte Green fits Tom Thibodeau to a T, and they've said they're looking to trade Jericho Sims. Ian Bagley, I believe, was the one who reported that. They get themselves an athletic forward and maybe even a backup center. The Knicks right now are 7th in efficiency. They're 49% from the field, and their free throw rate's 80%. They have a great offensive attack, strong defense, but they need some help. And I think if they can, OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart would benefit. Literally, Josh Hart would have Javonte Green, Giannonobi, and Mikal Bridges would have Javonte Green offering rest and defensive fortitude. It's a closeout on shooters, handle the fast breaks, and just give some energy off the bench to bolster their defensive lineup. While if they got rid of Preston Achiuwa, Karl Matikovic is a 40-inch vertical on a 6'10" Serbian who really, like, if they can, he fits their lob threat need, rim running. So I think this is a sneaky one where they can save a bunch of money and do some things and be able to improve the team holistically, or they can just save a little bit of money and just get one guy. But I do think a deal like that would help the Knicks a lot. Now, let's move on to the next one, which right here is the Milwaukee Bucks. I think the Milwaukee Bucks, as you guys see, the Milwaukee Bucks are already trying to trade MarJon Beauchamp. They would save $733,000 by this. You get yourself a player who fits Doc Rivers' style of play. And with the Bucks needing to shore up their defensive side of things, I think trading MarJon Beauchamp and a second round pick for Green could really help Doc Rivers. This is a team that currently ranks 13th in 3-point accuracy, and they're middle of the pack defensively. So with Chris Middleton injured right now, or like coming back from injuries, just kind of so, Javonte Green could be used primarily defensively to relieve Middleton of the void he's leaving, or when he does come back, that he doesn't have to just be more of just a microwave on offense and help out Giannis and Damian, who Damian's not the best. So allowing him, again, Chris Middleton, when he comes back, to focus more on offense. And while he's out, Green's inclusion would be able to provide a more rested and focused defensive unit, especially during the late game situations and back-to-back. I think given Milwaukee's efficient scoring and middle of the pack defensively, I think Green would come in and give them that defensive hustle and motor that would complement Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo and Brook Lopez without really affecting anything too crazy. So that MarJon Beauchamp one is kind of like one of the more realistic deals that we've talked about so far. So that's something to think about. Joe Ingles, this would save them, the Timberwolves, $1 million, second round pick. Joe Ingles, just old, clearly over the hill. Maybe they like him for locker room presence, but he's really not playing for them. And if they can get a guy with the defensive capability of Javonte Green to hit the corner threes, to add some depth, toughness, and hustle, a team that ranks 22nd in three-point percentage. But look, my apology. I kind of messed that up. They are a strong three-point shooting team at 38%, but their defensive stats are currently 22nd. They are the 8th worst defense. It's not good. It's not good. And I think with the Timberwolves, they would benefit from a guy like Javonte Green because he would fit in transition, the versatility, Anthony Edwards, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jaden McDaniels would benefit by having a guy, and Mike Conley as well, would benefit by having a guy like Javonte Green who can help out Jaden McDaniels and defensive cover against the other top wing players. And this would allow the scorers, Anthony Edwards, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Naz Reid, and stuff, to focus on offense. Plus his rebounding ability would help a team that's lacked that significant rebounding strength from their players. And again, this is a team that's already a decent three-point shooting team, but their overall defense would benefit from the athleticism and just the hustle to challenge and contest shots and close out on the perimeter that Mr. Javonte Green would provide. Now, the last one is, of course, the Phoenix Suns, and they're the ones who would be most desperate. Bol isn't playing. This could be a guy that they give a shot, a reclamation project for the Pelicans as they rebuild. Damian Lee could just be a buyout guy and a second round pick. This would either save Phoenix $400,000 or $800,000 depending on the player that they would trade, and they would be able to bring in a veteran like Javonte Green who fits their needs. As Mike Budenholzer loves a strong wing rotation, and a trade involving Bol or Damian Lee would bolster their defensive rotation after trading away Josh Okogie for Nick Richards as they get a perimeter defender. The Suns are 14th in the league with solid shooting metrics and a really balanced attack on offense and defense, but they're 10th currently in the Western Conference. I think under Mike Budenholzer, Javonte Green's defensive skills to guard opposing wings and guards or even forwards. A task that's so far been left to Ryan Dunn, Royce O'Neal, and Grayson Allen would allow Green to be part of rotations that include Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal and Tyus Jones, as they would provide opportunities for them to conserve their energy for offense while he handles the more gritty defensive assignments. So I think that Phoenix's strategy on balanced offense and solid defense, Green's energy and hustle and defensive abilities would help solidify that rotation and add depth to their bench that they've lost, especially when we get closer to the playoffs. So to me, I think that just makes sense a lot. So I want to hear you guys' thoughts as we wrap up this video. I think Javonte Green's profile is a defensive maestro who's a menace, who will play with a chip on his shoulder and relentlessly hustle. He's the athletic forward that I think a lot of teams looking to save money and enhance their defense without having a significant impact on their offense, as he's just going to shoot the open shots. He's the guy that you want. And look, it's his role on all of these teams is primarily going to be a rotational player whose motor and hustle bolsters the team's defense while providing the occasional floor spacing or easy cuts or slash or backdoor finishes in transition, as well as he's somebody who has the ability to seamlessly fit into various schemes and rotations. And as we look to the playoffs, especially with the aprons, this is a easy move. You could see teams trade somebody that they do not want anymore for Javonte Green. Now, that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys made it to the end of the video, hit that like and subscribe button and let me know what you guys think of a trade for Javonte Green.